Well, this week the Senate is taking up a bill that could expose where large amounts of dark money comes from. The Disclose Act would require super PACs and dark money groups to disclose any donor who gives more than $10,000 during an election cycle. Rhode Island Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who is the bill's sponsor, joins us now live with more on this. Senator, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
So, Senator, this is a bill that passed the House once in 2010. You and I spoke during the break. You explained that it went to a vote today on the Senate floor in a tie. But truth be told, year after year, we've seen this bill fail in the Senate. What is it about this bill? Why do you continue to push it?
Well, the American people are seeing the election season get more and more repulsive as more and more dark money floods into elections. When the donor can hide who they are, then they can lie, they can smear, anything that people do from hiding is usually up to no good. And so people have seen these really filthy ads begin to proliferate into our system. And then, of course, they've seen a government that is responsive to the big donors who give $10, $15, $20 million, most recently $1.6 billion in a single donation. And they feel that they're left out of American democracy, which, of course, they are with that kind of dark money power. So putting the members of the Senate on record as to whether they want to get rid of this and clean up our democracy or just continue down this path into what is really corruption in the traditional sense of the word, that choice was made today, and every Democrat chose America the Beautiful, and every Republican chose a dark money future.
Wow, $1.6 billion in a single donation really puts things into perspective. And I know that you talk a lot about how dark money doesn't just influence political campaigns, but it's played a part in the recent Supreme Court nominations of conservative justices. And you actually had this to say on the Senate floor last September. Let's take a listen right here.
Anonymous money behind these groups, which then bring carefully strategized cases before the judges who've been selected and campaigned for by dark money. Then the dark money groups bring the case in. And so far, the 5 Republicans on the court have been very good about lowering the standing requirements so that those cases get right in and they can hear them. And then the case is before them, and what do you see? You see a dozen phony front groups with anonymous funding all show up as friends of the court.
So explain, Senator, exactly what you mean by this. Tell us more about how dark money was used, in your words, to capture the Supreme Court.
So as everybody knows that Donald Trump went to a private organization called the Federalist Society to get his list of Supreme Court candidates. And while the Federalist Society was assembling that list of suitable Supreme Court candidates, they were also taking huge contributions from anonymous donors. So every signal is that the last Supreme Court justices before Justice Jackson were all chosen by people who brought a lot of dark money to the table of the Federalist Society. Then when they had to campaign for them, the TV ads for those judges got paid for by another group called the Judicial Crisis Network, another dark money group where donors were writing checks as big as $15 million, $17 million to pay for the TV ads to get them on. God knows how the money went into the Republican political operation to make sure they got confirmed. That's still TBD. But then with these judges on the court, you have groups that are funded by dark money that bring cases and that come to argue in favor of those cases and the doctrines and results that they want. The court has distressingly given them wins on a very partisan basis. It's very clear the correlation between who got put on the court by these forces and who's voting for the wins for these forces. So it's put the Supreme Court as an institution into a terrible, terrible place.
You know, there are those who say in order to fix this, we need to get to the root of the issue. And some say you have to get rid of Citizens United in order to enact real change. So why not just focus on overturning Citizens United instead of pushing the Disclose Act?
Well, two things. One is that a significant piece of Citizens United was decided by the Republicans on the court based on their reading of the Constitution. So we can't just overturn it by passing a law. We'd have to do it with a constitutional amendment. And you know how difficult that process is. So instead, we focused on the piece that the legislature can fix, which is making sure that the unlimited money that those Republican justices let flow is transparent, that the voters at least see who's behind it, which was what the court premised its decision on. So the vote that we just took, this Disclose Act, is our effort to do the one thing we can through legislation to undo the harm of the Citizens United decision. And interestingly, it's actually consistent with the decision, which was based on a false premise that all this spending was going to be transparent.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about with that. And I wanted to ask you, as a politician, what is the real motivation, Senator, to get any kind of money out of politics, whether it's dark money or transparent campaign funding? Because the truth of the matter is you need money to fund a campaign. So the question I have for you is, how do you raise the money? I mean, is the system broken? Does the system work?
There are two systems. There's the old system where corporate PACs can give $5,000 and individuals, I guess the number is now up around $5,000, and you go out and you work and you raise your money and then you bring it to the race. But Citizens United created a new parallel universe in which huge special interests, huge donors can give unlimited money, and now that unlimited money is often more than the amount that campaigns raise and spend. So it's become a huge, powerful force, and you don't know who's behind it, except that you can bet your bottom dollar that if it's a House spend, the House Republican leadership knows exactly who's behind it. If it's a Senate spend, the Senate Republican leadership knows exactly who's behind it. And for sure, these candidates end up knowing who's behind it. So they know who the big multi-million-dollar secret sugar daddies were at the end of the day. It's just the public and you and the press who are left out of the equation and left in the dark.
But like you said, I think sometimes, you could deduce who is behind a campaign, who is behind funding. For example, on the liberal side, there are donors like George Soros. On the conservative side, there are big donors like the Koch brothers. So at the end of the day, is it fair to say that both Republicans and Democrats benefit from dark money?
Both Republicans and Democrats use dark money because the rules of the game allow it. Where we disagree is that Republicans defend the rules of the game that allow it, and Democrats understood that this is poisonous and toxic in our political system, very corrupting and very dismaying to regular voters, and we're trying to get rid of that bad rule.
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're going with this, and I wanted to ask you, after listening to you speak this afternoon, I just wanted to ask you your opinion. Do you think the average American's vote actually counts anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I would hate to say no because I'm so proud of American democracy generally, but we're going through a really dark spot right now with a lot of lying and a lot of dark money and a lot of mischief happening. And there are academic studies that say when it comes to the big issues that come before Congress, you can statistically show that big special interests do very well at getting heard and getting their way, and regular individuals statistically have virtually no response whatsoever from the political system. So if you want to know why people are angry about the political system, it's actually with good reason, because you can statistically prove through academic studies that the public is not listened to at all in the way that these big special interests are.
Right. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, thank you so much for taking the time to shine a light on this today. We do appreciate you stopping by to tell us all about the Disclose Act. We hope that you will stop by again soon. Thank you so much for being with us.
That's your pleasure. Thank you so much.